Welcome to the podcast. Now that I'm engaged, how do I get married? I'm your host, Kevin Dennis.
And I'm August Yocher, co-host and brand manager at Fantasy Sound Event Services.
In addition to leading the charge at Wedding IQ, I also run Fantasy Sound Event Services, a lighting and entertainment company based in Livermore, California, that I founded over 35 years ago.
Each week on this podcast, we'll explore a new corner of wedding planning so you can prepare for your I-dos without the stress.
From budgeting to booking vendors to the day of drama.
Let's talk smart wedding planning.
All right, folks, welcome to another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married with August and I. And we are doing, the topic today is the wedding pros, which is August and I, versus AI. Who knows weddings best? Part 2.
Part 2. Yeah, we did the first part back in October of last year, so we're finally getting around to doing the second part.
Yes. But in the first episode, we talked about budget, logistics, and traditions and etiquette. Today, we are jumping into venue and services and tricky scenarios. So we're going to see who knows it best. We are going to be jumping in first question, August.
Our first question under vendors and services, how do you pick your ceremony music and reception playlist? And in case you did not listen to part 1, essentially how this little exercise is going to work is we have the 4 questions today, like Kevin mentioned, but Kevin and I are going to answer the question first as wedding pros and try to give you our best answer. And then we're going to throw that same exact question into ChatGPT AI. I don't know if you're using Claude or ChatGPT today, but 2 AI accounts, and we're going to compare all of our answers to see if they're accurate. And again, we're just trying to prove while AI can be a good starting point, we think that working with the real deal wedding professionals is what's going to make the difference in your planning process.
Yeah.
But back to it. So, Kevin, we'll have you answer first because you're Mr. DJ over here. How do you pick your ceremony music and reception playlist?
Throw a dart at the dartboard and go from. No, I'm just teasing. So I think the biggest thing is, let's start with the ceremony because it's 2 totally different things that you need to get prepared for. So when it comes to the ceremony, you need to figure out, where are you getting married and what are the rules? So, if you're getting married in a church or a synagogue or any of those kind of wonderful places, they do come with rules and regulations of what you can and can't do. So that'll really affect how you go down. But let's pretend we are not getting married at one of those places and we're getting married at a place that allows you to do whatever you want for the ceremony music. So right now, the trend was a couple years ago is to play instrumental versions of modern music.
Mm-hmm.
And now that trend has kind of gone away, and now it's a blend. It's a blend. So you get instrumental versions of modern music as well as the real deal, So like you might, someone very famous is getting married today as we record this. So we'll just use her as an example. You love Taylor Swift. Instead of using instrumental versions, you might actually use the real version of Taylor Swift singing. So I've seen right now lately, it's been a lot of mix. It's a mix of instrumental with the real versions of songs right now. But with that said, you could be a Disney fanatic because that happened at a wedding. And I recently had a couple that really loved Disney and Disney fanatics. And so what they did is they surprised the groomsmen and the groom all walked into the Imperial March by Star Wars. And the cool part about it is we were playing like soft, beautiful music pre-ceremony. And then all of a sudden there was da 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 out of the blue. And they all walked in wearing sunglasses and they were all in black and white tuxedos. And it got a really good chuckle from the crowd. So I think with that said is like couples right now are really letting their personalities come shining through when it comes to their ceremony instead of like, we have to play classical music because that's what was always done. I mean, that is gone to the wayside and they don't do that anymore. But they're really, what do you like? I've heard a lot of video game music, sports music, and even like we really love this artist, that artist, and hearing a lot of that kind of stuff for the ceremony because then it's really, it's about the couple at that point. for that, and that's all processional music. And then
Mhm.
to walk out for the recessional, this is where I tell a lot of our clients, have fun with this. You want celebratory,
Yeah,
borderline danceable. We're going to a party, is what I always tell them. And so you
'cause you
want,
are.
yeah, and you want it's nothing more wah 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 when the officiant announced the couple, everyone's clapping, and then here comes this soft, pretty music in the background. Like you want to pump
It
up
kinda
your guests.
dampens yeah,
It does,
dampens the
yeah,
feel a little bit.
yeah. You really want to pump up the guests at that point when it comes to that moment, because it's a very fun, everyone's clapping. And if you come out with a fun song that's really like I said, borderline danceable, could be danceable,
Mhm.
just but come out with fun, upbeat, you're gonna have all your guests like right there clapping and cheering and dancing in their seats. And it really sets a tone going into the reception. Like you're really, that's a moment to set the tone. So, and then when it comes to the reception music, new trend of new alert or whatever, whatever noise we want to make for that, is right now it's always been, like medium to upbeat for cocktail. It's always been the norm for cocktail music, but also that is carrying over to the dinner. So we are no longer putting people to sleep during dinner and keeping it fun, upbeat, party atmosphere still during dinner. So the nice part is, as you go out to do sunset photos or dinner's taking longer than expected, again, we're no longer putting people to sleep at weddings. So that I guess so that should be the theme of this, is we're no longer putting people to sleep at weddings. So, and that happens. Like, shit happens at weddings, and things
Mhm.
sometimes, to the best laid plans, they don't happen according to plan. And so therefore, keeping it fun, upbeat, you're no longer, everyone's not sitting there going, when's the dancing, when is this going to happen? It really keeps the
The
mood
energy
light.
going, yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's talking to everyone, and 15, 20 minutes could go by, but they have no idea, you know so that's, I really recommend. But with that is, I always tell my couples too, his mom loves an artist that you don't love, so throw a bunch of that artist into dinner, and then maybe give her 1 or 2 for dancing, you know? It's a good place,
Nice little
dinners.
compromise.
Yeah, well, it's a good place to hide music as well. Like I
Yeah.
recently had a couple that she loved country music and the groom hated country music. So we
Mhm.
played country music during dinner and only played because country music, it wasn't the crowd to do 100% country like dancing, so
Yeah.
we did a handful for dancing, but did a majority of dinner was country. And then that was their compromise. And so, in life you have to compromise, and that was their compromise. So, and then when it comes to dancing, I always tell my couples, focus on the guests that are dancers. So grandma,
Mhm.
your aunties and uncles, and all those folks are not dancers, then you don't have to play music for them. Move that, move what they like to dinner, and whatnot, because there's nothing kills the crowd more than playing a song and no one dances to it. So
Yeah.
it's, so letting your DJ, your band know what are your favorites, and sometimes there's reasoning behind it. Like I recently had one where, hey, this is my grandmother's favorite song, and it was Sir Mix-a-Lot Baby Got Back. And so it made me laugh, one, but I wanted to make sure, like I had to work it in really, really quickly as we
Before
started
she left.
dancing, because yeah, grandma's not going to be around to the bitter end. And
Mhm.
so like I worked it in really quickly, and I was like, hey, and I forget the bride's name, but this is, such and such grandma's favorite song. Everyone get on the dance floor, join her on the dance floor right now. And then boom, and then everyone's like laughing, having a great time. And everyone was really dancing with grandma on it.
Yeah.
And it was all and it wasn't, I had to say just a couple of words, and then it made that moment even more memorable. So
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna say
trying
I
to,
like that you made an announcement because it makes people feel like something bigger than they currently are, like
well,
they feel involved.
and I always like it if we're doing something offbeat or not the norm, is to let everyone know why. So,
Yeah,
this is
so it doesn't kill the energy.
correct, and
Yeah,
everyone's not looking at me like I'm an idiot. So
yeah.
that's the big reason. And then the biggest thing I would let everyone know too is that we forget is the do not plays. So letting us
Mhm.
know what you do not like, or just
Do
as
not
important.
want to hear, yeah,
No, yeah, because some people are very, I don't like Taylor Swift, and I don't want Taylor Swift in my wedding. So
which is so
that,
fair. I
yeah,
understand.
yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Well,
what
that
do
was
you
a
think, August?
very thorough answer.
I'm sorry, it's in my
No,
wheelhouse.
no. No, I think that's perfect. I think you're gonna beat the bot, so I mean, I guess to piggyback off of what you said, just to add a few things, I think one thing that I would feel would be overwhelming about choosing the music is, like, how many songs or what songs, and I'm thinking, like, throughout your process of planning, like, you have, on average about a year, we see most couples plan. Like, as you're just listening to your daily music, think about what songs you would wanna hear. Because even I do that, like, I'm not even close to being married, but once in a while, I'll hear a song, and I keep a notes app in my phone, and I'm like, "This would be a great reception song," or, "I would love to hear this at my own wedding someday." So I think just keeping that in mind as you normally listen to your music, but I think you covered everything, so
But I
I
will
don't
tell
know if there's
you,
much more I can add there.
well, I'm sorry, it's my wheelhouse.
No, no.
Um, so it's interesting because they broke it down into in a bunch of different
Oh, you put it in
chapters.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
chat
it
does like to do
says
that.
it says ceremony music start with the feeling you want: romantic, elegant, modern, fun, emotional, traditional, or dramatic, or simple. So it just throws a bunch of like adjectives in there and not really helpful. And then for the prelude, it says this plays as guests arrive. Pick music to set the mood, but does not steal the spotlight. Instrumental, acoustic, classical, strings, soft works well. And I would agree with ChatGPT on that. And then the rest of it is like they're telling you to be emotional for like the family seatings. This should be more energy than the prelude for the wedding party. And then the bride's main interest. This is a big moment. Choose something that feels like you, but also has clear musical moment for the entrance, not just a favorite as well. So similar, but not the same is what we
Do you
talked about.
disagree with any of it?
No, not so far. I mean, it's all like good ideas. It's just very generic, some of this.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not super in depth or what like you were doing what's trending right now. Like what are we seeing that's popular?
Also, I think ChatGPT was listening to me because for the recessional, it said it should feel joyful and celebratory.
There you
So
go.
you just got married. This is where you can go upbeat, fun, and or iconic. So, and then for the reception, it says think of it as chapters. So it says cocktail hour, grand entrance, first dance, parents dance, dinner, open dancing, kind of breaks it down. And for open dancing, it says what the couple loves, what the guests will actually dance to, and what keeps the room connected across generations are the three things that they think you should balance. Yeah, and I'm a big believer you focus on the folks that are actual dancers. So
Yeah, I
that's
think that's
number
good
two.
advice.
Yeah, pretty decent advice. And then I would say their best advice here is make three playlists. It says must plays, plays if it fits, and do not plays. And then give them to your DJ and band to
Yeah,
read
I
the
would agree
crowd.
with that.
Yeah. And a great reception is not just a playlist, it's timing, transitions, and knowing when to shift. And I would, so that,
That's
so
on the DJ style
I,
too.
yeah, I would give AI a B plus on this one. They did actually better than maybe AI has gotten better since the last time we've done this
Well,
because
I was literally just gonna say, I don't know if you noticed this, but from when we did the last episode, that was probably 8 or 9 months ago. And I remember we would put it in, we'd be reading the response, and it felt a lot shorter because
hmm
we were able to read the entire thing on the podcast and it
yeah,
didn't feel crazy long. But mine is very long. So, and it's, all sectioned off. So mine says, and let me know if any of this sounds similar to your response, but a great wedding soundtrack feels personal to you as a couple while also creating the right atmosphere throughout the day. Rather than trying to find the perfect song for every moment, start by thinking about the feeling you want guests to have during each part of the celebration. And then it does break it up into the different parts of the day. So ceremony, cocktail hour, dinner, and it makes its recommendations. But to me, I don't know how I feel about the recommendations because they feel
Mine
Too
did not give
specific?
me I was gonna say mine did not give me music advice at all, like, didn't give me songs, just gave me advice.
Yeah, no, it's like, for ceremony, you want soft, welcoming music. Processional, choose songs that feel meaningful to the wedding party and your entrance. And then recessional, joyful and upbeat. Cockflower, it's like listing out different genres of music, like acoustic covers, jazz, indie folk, light pop, bossa nova. Like, I don't really care for that actually because it's up to each person, like, I don't know how I feel about that. Dancing, it does, like, yeah, must play songs, do not play songs, and then a few genre artists that reflect the crowd, so it does take your advice as well, and then it has questions to ask yourself, so, what songs remind us of our relationship? What artists do
Mm.
we both love? What songs always get our friends and family dancing? Do we want the vibe to be elegant, nostalgic, high energy, laid back, or a mix? And yeah, I mean, I guess there's bits of it. I low key might give this one a C. I
Oh.
feel like your answer was way better, obviously.
Well, no, but
So
I mine was pretty good, so but also
it was very.
mine
No, I mean your like Kevin's answer,
oh.
not Miss
No,
Girl
but
or Miss
I would give
Girl.
my yeah, I would give my AI a solid B plus, like, or maybe even an A minus. It did I was pretty impressed, and I like that it didn't recommend songs to play. It just gave
Yeah,
me, like, a feel or an energy or what it should be like, so,
yeah.
anyway.
All right.
If you're getting married in California's Bay Area or Tri Valley and you're looking for wedding event services, we'd love to help. At Fantasy Sound, we offer DJ, lighting and decor, photo booth, and coordination services to bring your wedding vision to life. From your ceremony to your last dance, we're here to make your day seamless, fun, and unforgettable. Let us make your fantasy a reality. Go to fantasysound.com for more information. All right, we moving on?
Let's do it.
All
So,
right. Next
uh,
question. Ba-dum.
is lighting really worth the well, and this is your wheelhouse too, so is lighting really worth the investment, or is it a nice to have for our wedding reception?
I'll let you answer it.
Me? Oh my gosh. I mean, I think we're both biased because we do our main bread and butter of Fantasy Sound is lighting and decor, so I personally think it's worth the investment, but it is hard to say that on a couple to couple basis because we do always say on the podcast that the main thing that you want to do when you start wedding planning is choosing your priorities, like what is most important to you as a couple and letting that drive the entire process. So it's hard to say that for every couple, but personally, I do think it really changes the look, the feel, the ambiance, the entire setting of the wedding. And even if you don't do anything super crazy install, like huge chandeliers or drapery in the ceiling, we've also talked about foundational lighting, just kind of highlighting certain spots of the venue or certain moments that will happen, like the sweetheart table or the cake table. I do think that that really makes a huge difference. And if the environment feels good, the guests are going to feel good, and the whole wedding's just going to feel a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I err on the side of like guest experience, and you know that I talk about guest experience a lot. And so lighting, I feel like touches on all the senses, like how to
That's a good
smell,
answer.
yeah, how how things are gonna feel, how things are gonna, taste, all those things, but
Hmm.
it helps set the mood, and gives a feeling in the room of, an elevated feeling,
Hmm.
even just like you talked about uplights earlier, just even simple uplights, and we don't sell candlelight, but I'm a big person. I believe more you cannot have enough candles at a wedding.
I agree.
You
I agree
like
with that.
the more candles you have, the better. So
So
like
romantic.
some candles and some uplight would make, and that probably is one of the more cheaper things you can do, on the more inexpensive side of things. and it would change a room's aesthetic immediately, the how it feels, everything about the room. But that, I mean, that goes from maybe just elevating the linen, just, it doesn't have to be fancy, fancy, but just maybe a color, like a poly color, or, some little changes will help elevate and make a big difference. And sometimes I think couples focus on the wrong things instead of focusing on they're more worried about, like, what they want and what they're gonna feel instead of the guest experience.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think you can do a little bit of both, right? Like, you can
yeah.
still think about what you want and how you wanna feel, but at the end of the day, you're throwing a party for your family and friends, like, make sure they enjoy the party too, you know? So
Well, and, I there's many weddings where you can go back and look and you can go, "Oh, that," like, I can think about, like, a wedding just this last October. It rained during the entire ceremony. A lot of the family was from out of town.
mhm.
One of the guests that was sitting next to me, he goes, "So much for effing sunny California," as he's getting dumped on by rain,
Ooh.
so and the whole time event was or the ceremony was happening, all I can think about was, one, how much time she spent on her hair and makeup that's ruined now. Two was guest experience. And so it just if you and I think lighting, I know we got off topic a little bit, but lighting will lead into that guest experience. The
Mhm.
feel, the way the things, even how things look in photos and on Instagram, on social media, all that stuff, it's gonna change. So I'm in the lighting business, but I always think that it's worth the investment instead of a nice to have. So,
Mhm.
but that's just me.
I agree
I
with
could
you.
be I could be biased on this one.
We'll see what Chat thinks. Mine okay, so we start off with lighting is one of those wedding investments that often goes unnoticed when it's done well, but it can completely transform the look and feel of your reception. While it's not a necessity for every wedding, it's far more than just a nice to have. Think of lighting as the element that sets the mood for your entire celebration. Soft up lighting can make a ballroom feel warm and inviting. Market lights can create a romantic outdoor atmosphere, and chandeliers or custom installations can turn an already beautiful venue into something truly unforgettable. And then it goes over a few practical benefits, which I won't read the entire thing, but essentially it enhances the venue, it improves photos and videos, creates an atmosphere, and transitions the evening. So, with that one, you can shift from soft romantic dinner ambiance to vibrant dance floor without changing the decor. So, and then it did kind of go into what we had said, like if you're working within a budget, you don't have to go crazy. So, choosing certain lighting elements carefully, like uplighting, monograms, which we have the custom monograms, those can make a big impact. So essentially, that's what it says on my end.
Well, I think, again, I'm going to tell you because this is only we did this back in October, and this is the second question that I put in, and I've kind of been reading mine as you've been talking, and I would give my AI like a solid A minus B plus. But also
Mhm.
think about it, I've been using this now since then. So have
So you've been feeding it your
well, I'm like, yeah,
information.
so have I fed it? But so, mine said, "Hey girl, hey," which is that's what we call
Yeah, if they were here
my
on episode 1, they knew
yeah.
about Hey Girl Hey.
Hey girl, hey is what I call mine. I'd answer this one honestly. Lighting is one of the few upgrades guests may not consciously notice, but they absolutely feel it.
Mhm.
I would not call a lighting just nice to have unless the reception is already in a natural, beautiful, well lit space. Lighting can completely change how the room looks in person, how the photos and video turn out, and how the night transitions from dinner to dancing. And then they went on to say, lighting is worth the investment if you want a reception to feel intentional, warm, and finished. Even a
Mm.
beautiful venue can look flat or unfinished under harsh house lights. Up lighting, pin spotting, dance floor lighting, or a soft room wash can make the space feel more romantic and more elevated and more like an actual celebration instead of a banquet room with tables. They said, that said, I challenge couples to not think of lighting as all or nothing. You do always need, uh, you, ugh, you, you do not always need every lighting option available. The most valuable pieces usually are uplighting, pin spotting, dance floor lighting, and a clean room wash. And then
Mhm.
it ends with practical answer. If your budget is tight, prioritize lighting that improves the guest experience and the photos the most. If your room already has beautiful natural light, candles, chandeliers, and a great built-in atmosphere, lighting may be less urgent. But if the room feels plain, dark, harsh, or overly ballroom-like, lighting is one of the fastest ways to transform it.
Mhm.
So no, it is not always mandatory, but when done well, lighting can is not just decor, it's atmosphere. So it's I would give it a solid A on that one. I mean that so again, it could be me. It's starting to get to know me and how I feel, but
Yeah.
yeah, I would 100% agree with everything that they had to say there. How about you?
Awesome. Yeah,
What grade would you give yours?
um I think the way that I look at it is like when we ask the question, it's going to go as deep into detail as the question allows, right? So I might be being a little too harsh, but like when I look at the question, I'm like, this is not as detailed as like what
Mhm.
Kevin would say. But then, of course, you'd have to ask it another more detailed question for it
Yeah,
to potentially give you, you know, a deeper answer. So,
I agree.
yeah, so
So
I would give it an A on that one.
yeah,
Or a B
I
plus, probably same as you.
yeah, I would give mine like an A, not quite an A plus, but I would give it a solid A. So,
Mhm.
all right. So I think we coming up on time, girl. So
I
we're gonna have to
know.
continue this. So
We need a I know,
I
we
know.
should I think it's because both of those questions were in your wheelhouse, so we were able to expand on them a lot more and give a lot more advice,
Yes.
whereas the next 2, maybe I'll throw in a couple more in case we get through those quickly, but
I was gonna say
we'll need a part 3.
we'll do elaborate tricky scenarios and we'll do a bunch of tricky scenarios and go through that next
Oh
time.
gosh. Okay, and then we
I
can't do
like
homework. We can't, like, think about it beforehand. We have to
oh, I
go
won't.
in.
You know me, I
Okay.
won't. I'm
Yeah,
better off the
yeah.
cuff.
I think I know, but just, like, to be more genuine in our answers, like, not being prepared beforehand. So,
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up this episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married? AI versus the Will Reading Pros Part 2. And I would say AI has gotten better over the last several months. So I'm actually kind of impressed, to be honest with you. So, but we'll wrap it up and then we'll come back with everyone with Part 3, Tricky Scenarios.
tricky scenarios. We can throw in a couple of those. Yeah.
Oh, there's lots. We're gonna have fun with
Yeah.
that one.
Well, then maybe we should
Yes.
No, you know what? No, we'll just roll with it. We'll roll with it, yeah.
Yep.
We'll see you
We're gonna
then.
have. All right. Folks, thank you for listening to another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do We Get Married? Don't forget to listen and find them on wherever you listen to your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all that stuff. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. And also, don't forget to send your stories or questions to podcast@fantasysound.com. That's actually where we got the idea for this before. Someone sent us sent this idea and we're running with it. So we'd like
Yeah.
to take your idea and run with it too. So folks, we'll see you next time on another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married? To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married podcast.
Brought to you by Fantasy Sound Event Services.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. Please get in touch with me or August if you have any topic you would like us to cover.
Or if you're struggling with your wedding planning, please be sure to submit a question to podcast@fantasysound.com.
I encourage you to check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you're a fan, we'd love if you would subscribe to the podcast and leave a review.
It helps others find our podcast so that they can learn from our guests too. And to everybody listening,
happy wedding planning!